Howdy, howdy. I keep being reminded that the past is going to test you. Test me, for sure. Anytime you're trying to level up, move forward away from toxic behavior, toxic people, things that have held you back, you're going to have the past go, hey, you busy? It happened yesterday. I was at work and I was doing some stuff. My phone starts ringing and I look down and I'm like, this person is not calling me. At that, they're calling me from jail. I had very mixed emotions. I did not answer the phone call because there's something about when you're going to move forward. I've always heard it as God's going to test you to see if you'll still fall for the devil's tricks. And it's basically what's going on. And I thought, had I answered that phone call, I would have been out money, I would have been out time, and I would have been sucked right back in. But in the situation of waiting for somebody to get out of jail, somebody that already kept me waiting, right? Who has time for that? I had already said, you're for the streets. You want to play in the streets? Go to the streets. Leave me out of it. I'm no longer a saloon door. No coming and going. Because that situation had to remind me, I'm not an option. I am the choice. I know my value. I built my own damn table. I know what I can bring to someone else's table. Why wait around for people to get their act together because they're only keeping you from getting yours? And even last night, I sat down and I'm like, take that leap of faith. Take that leap of faith. For years now, I've been wanting to make certain products. And I talk to people about certain products that I do make. And they're like, I'd buy that. Shoot, I'm a diabetic. I could use that. Make that. Put it on the market. I'll buy it. And I finally had to go, okay, invest wisely. And it's hard when you have to believe in yourself. I understand. It's extremely hard. And it's funny, though, because as the past is like, hey, and the future's pulling me forward, it's almost like about to be sucked into a vortex and take off and like, what, you can't get me now. And in all honesty, I know he was about to pop up on me. And it's hard when you're used to something. I 16 years with my kid's dad and year and a half with this person. And at some point you have to go, we've already read this book. My son bought us new phones and put us on his military plan. And it's like this brand new beginning. Honestly, hopefully moving locations soon. Just disappearing. And it's, like I said, new beginnings. And all I keep hearing is, let's get down to the real nitty gritty. That's a good song. But you do have to take that leap of faith. You do have to fight those emotions and say, I remember what you brought to me, though. I remember the sleepless nights. I remember the bad routines. I remember the questions you left in my head. I remember all the moments, good and bad. And yeah, the good can outweigh the bad, but in the end, you have to ask yourself, is the scale supposed to tip like this? When you know you deserve more, don't settle for less. When you know that you're capable of doing great things, don't stay around people that are going to keep pulling you back down. Because you can wind up sitting in a jail cell just like they are. And there's sometimes when that is just a spiritual, mental jail cell. You ruminate in all these shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Don't shoulda, coulda, woulda your life. Do it. I'm where I'm at because I did. Because all day long you can sit there and say, but if I do it this way, then it might turn out this way. And the only way you're going to get anywhere is if you do try the if. I wonder if I eat this cookie, if I'll get taller or smaller? If I drink this potion, will I get taller or smaller? Be in Wonderland for a while. Find yourself. Be so amazed at the world around you and find that it truly is a place of creative endeavors, a place that you can fit into. But you can only do that by letting go of the toxic past, of saying, I'm not turning around. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. The third time, I don't know. We have a lesson to learn, right? I allowed somebody to keep coming into my life, and it's almost as if they were allowed to keep coming in because they were racking up karma. In the end, do I feel bad for them? Yes. First time they did me wrong, they lost their job. Second time they totaled their truck. Third time they're in jail. Nothing at my hands. Just actions somebody chooses to keep taking and charading and parading. So understand, you can go around and think you're fooling the world, but you're only fooling yourself. And at some point, you can't unpretend. At some point, you will be caught and justice will be served. And just know that about people that are doing you wrong. You don't have to do anything. Make me cry, karma will tell you hi, right? Do I feel bad? I'm torn between that. I'm not celebrating. It's just almost as if the divine said, okay, I'm going to completely remove this obstacle. The obstacle was devil energy. The obstacle was keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. That's insanity. Ask Albert Einstein. He said it. So when we get to the point of what we need to focus on, and we keep focusing on the world around us and how it can benefit us. Well, if I do this, what will I get for that? That in itself is toxic, rather than live in love. Do you need help with that? Nothing needed back. Smiles are great payments. Hugs, waves, acknowledgement. Getting to feel alive, seen, and heard is the gift of life. I think everyone forgets that. When you build relationships that actually matter, when you build situations that you can see yourself making leeway. It's like going to the beach and it's all covered in seaweed and you make a path and you're like, now I can get to it. Now I can see the ocean. There's obstacles at all times, but we have to embrace that fear and that uncertainty and go, it's going to be worth it. In the end, it's going to be worth it. I know it is. Because when you have faith in a situation that you're diving into, that's where the worth in the situation comes. You can't keep second guessing everything, because as you start, stall, you're going full force with some heavy energy like, yeah, we're going to succeed. And then you're finding yourself going, but this could happen. And as soon as you put that thought in your manifestation, you have just killed it. You've turned a happily ever after into a terrible nightmare. I know, I've done it for years. Overthinking, second guessing, not believing. Oh, it didn't come fast enough. By the time it got there, it was so confusing, I forgot I asked for it. I was living a totally different path than what I had originally been on. But it's also those detours that we take, those calls that we answer that we should have left unanswered. Because sometimes when you do pick up the phone, when you do respond back to that text, when you do allow that vampire back into your life, not only are they coming with karma, but they're coming to bleed you dry, and you will sit in their poverty with them. You have to get to a point where you can rise up above it, where you can say, you know what? I would rather be alone and do bad by myself than to be with you and cry. There's been a lot of tears that have been shed. There's been a lot of wanting to explode, not knowing what was going on, questioning, sleepless nights, not being able to consider my own actions and my own future and my own outcome for my own situation. It's funny, we can put people ahead of us all day long, never realizing the more we do that, the more we're finding ourselves stepping back. The more that you step back, the further you get from your goal. And that happens with the temptation of toxicity, the past, situations that you freed yourself some and you're like, sure, shackle me back up. Let's do it again. I never really knew healthy love. I knew toxic love. I used to be in love with love. That was the toxicity of love. Willing to do anything, allowing a boyfriend to say or do whatever, lie to me, knowing they were lying to me and going, well, at least he's cute and I'm not alone. At some point I realized it was better to be alone. It is better to embrace yourself. I have a coworker at work, she keeps going on dates and I'm like, so are they working out? No. And she said, my sister said, sadly, you haven't hit the ratio yet. The ones that don't work out before you find the one that does. And I told her, I said, I understand what she's saying. But honestly, when you choose to be single, and I'm saying you're done with it. Like, I have nothing over here that's being offered that I want. I'm just going to take a break and do me. Do the things you like, pamper yourself again, eat the foods you want, whatever it is. Get to know you again. And you will become so magnetic. People will begin to flock to you and you're like, But at that point, you're truly okay with not dating. It's kind of a conundrum, back and forth. When you want it, you reject it. When you don't want it, you're like, holy, back up. I can't breathe. Why are you in my space? And it gets hard though, because then you have to go, okay, I've got to look at the situation now. What am I willing to give up in my life? Because anytime you're going to be in a relationship, you're going to compromise. You're going to give a little, take a little, accept things you wouldn't normally accept. And I'm not saying toxic things. I'm saying maybe the person you're talking to goes to bed at 10 o'clock and you're used to talking until 3 in the morning. But it's taking it slow. It's getting to know somebody. And she's actually said, I can see what you're saying. And honestly, I'm pretty much done with the dating scene. Food for thought for anybody that is trying to bring something into their life. And I'm not talking just romantic relationships. This is anything. To attract money, you have to spend money. Ironic, right? Because when you save it, the universe is like, oh, you're holding on to that. You don't need any more of that. You have plenty. And you're over there in fear mentality, like, if I spend it, I know this because I've been in poverty mindset my whole entire life. Came from very hard-working people. And there was never anything extra to expend. So it got to the point where I was like that. I could make a penny turn into $1. If I was finding it on the ground, I was picking it up and putting it in a jar. Not spending it, just seeing how full I could get the jar. So when it comes down to it, remember there's laws that most people aren't aware of. We're in a push and pull, a give and take. Did you learn that lesson? Did you get that? I remember sitting at a hotel in New Mexico. My kids were very small. I was with their dad. And my ex and I were sitting out on the curb talking because the kids were trying to go to sleep. And this Corvette drives by real fast. And he had just said, all I need is a sign, something to just prove that God exists and I'll believe it. And as I'm telling him, that's not how this works. The light for the hotel, the sign, flickers off completely. Corvette's flying by. Did you get that fucker? Clear as day. And I looked at him, I said, did you get that, fucker? And they pulled in the parking lot, drove past us, seriously got back on the road, kept going the way they were going, and the light came back on. And I said, was that enough for you? It wasn't enough for him. At some point, he tried to get me to rebuke my faith. He did at one point. Life became hell. Don't ever give up your faith for somebody else to believe in something that you believe in, no matter what it is. Don't ever give up your hopes and dreams in hopes of keeping someone else that you know in your heart you deserve better. Don't answer the past when the future is calling, because you have a lot in front of you. You don't get anywhere by looking back. You definitely cannot build from the rubble of destruction that you have walked through. But you can find yourself in a new plateau, a new playing field, and be like, this is new materials. I can work with this. I can vibe on this level. Where you don't have to dig so deep to get what you need to move forward. So I've got to get going, but on that note, hopefully that helped somebody to let the past go. Because today was the day I woke up feeling airy. Going, how did I feel about that? And then going, you know what? It is what it is. Let it be what it is. So, peace, love, and light. Bye.